This is the regular meeting of the Board of Directors of Golden Rain Foundation, Laguna Woods, California Nonprofit Mutual Benefit Corporation, Tuesday, May 6th. Where's the year going? And we're in the boardroom of the Community Center. The purpose of this meeting is to conduct the regular GRF board meeting in accordance with Civil Code 4930 and was hereby noticed in accord with Civil Code 4920. We do have a quorum present, and at this time, I would ask for the Pledge of Allegiance. Director Collins isn't here right now. Gary, will you lead us? All rise.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We are being recorded as usual. If there is anyone else from media present, please identify. Seeing none. Okay. The agenda has been published. Is there any objection to the agenda as published?
Make a motion to pass.
Thank you. In favor? Approval of minutes of prior meetings. Let's do them one by one. April 1st, GRF regular board. Any corrections or objections to those minutes? Okay. Without objection, those are approved. April 14th, special open meeting. Comments, questions, objections? Hearing none, those are approved. And April 17th, agenda prep meeting. Changes, objections, corrections? Hearing none, approved. At this time, I would like to make everyone know that I'm just filling in for Kush Bhatta today because he's on a well-deserved break with his family, and he'll be back next week. But other than that, there's nothing in particular to report to you. What is important, of course, is our CEO report from Siobhan.
No pressure, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Honorable Vice President, members of the board. Good morning. I'd like to share some key updates with you this morning. I want to start with the asphalt repairs at the towers. They started yesterday and will run through Sunday, May 11th. Employees and residents there must relocate their vehicles during this time. So temporary street parking will be permitted on Avenida Sociaga and Paseo del Lago throughout the project. So just be aware if you're traveling in that area that there will be street parking. I want to let everyone know that asbestos question and answers are now available. When a planned town hall meeting with the South Coast Air Quality Management District fell through, the city and manor alterations generated and gathered resident questions and submitted those to the Air Quality Management District. These were reviewed by the Third and United Architectural Control Standards Committees, and now the full question and answers are available online at the address shown on your screen, and that is bit.ly/4JXY UG1. This information covers items such as asbestos surveys, Rule 1403, and much more. As a reminder, the VMS Social Services Division supports resident independence and well-being by providing assessments of physical, emotional, and social needs, personalized referrals, care planning, and emotional support, cognitive health screenings. For For these and other confidential services, please call Social Services at 949-597-4267. I also have some exciting news about the Council on Aging, Southern California. Social Services and the Council on Aging have partnered since 2019 to support resident well-being. The Council on Aging focuses on isolated or at-risk residents facing health risks tied to social isolation. I'm pleased to announce that the Council on Aging social worker, Jenna Bonaventura, joined Social Services on March 10th. Jenna provides case management, emotional support, psychoeducation, and care coordination. Her services are provided in collaboration with VMS Social Services and are provided free to our residents. Our Community Services Resales team has transitioned to HomeWise documents effective May 1st. This offers streamlined document processing for HOAs. HomeWise provides resale packages with governing documents and required disclosures for home buyers. They're designed for use by lenders, closing agents, real estate agents, and homeowners, and includes recorded CC&Rs, bylaws, rules, financials, insurance, and other required documents. This offers enhanced user experience. People can search by address, HOA name, choose hard copy delivery, receive email, SMS completion alerts, and track orders by confirmation number. Landscaping Services has announced a new 30-day ticket closure policy. This has been implemented in coordination with resident services and consists of no new tickets being opened for areas that are already scheduled within the next 30 days. This prevents duplicate efforts and improves workload efficiency. Residents will be notified by email if their ticket is closed, and the team is arriving within 2 weeks. Additionally, all landscaping schedules are available on the village website if you want to see when your next service will be. And then following the earthquake on April 14th, we've received a number of questions about village communications and the earthquake communication strategy. Our strategy focuses on preparedness and realistic expectations. We want to provide clear, calm, and action-focused post-event messaging. This strategy aligns with public safety best practices. As a reminder, VMS does not issue real-time alerts during shaking. We do promote apps such as MyShake for early warning and Alert OC for updates. We use the Code Red emergency system only for post-event emergency follow-up. So you won't receive a Code Red unless there is an emergency. Following an earthquake, residents can expect the following. If there is minimal impact, a brief update via email, website, TV6, and social media confirming no damage or service interruptions. If there is a significant impact, multi-channel updates with key information such as gate closures, safety, service changes, and so forth. And again, if there is an emergency, Code Red is used for urgent, time-sensitive alerts. In terms of resident education and preparedness, there are ongoing preparedness campaigns across all platforms, the Village Breeze, TV6, the newsletter, social media, quarterly features on earthquakes and wildfire readiness, and coordination with security and the Disaster Preparedness Task Force for events like the Great Shakeout. As a reminder, the 2026 version 1 budget meetings are approaching, and the meetings are shown on the screen. The first meeting is the GRF Capital Review. This takes place on May 14th at 1:30 p.m. here in the boardroom. And lastly, this is a reminder that the annual termite fumigation program is scheduled for May through November. This program targets drywood termites in inaccessible areas. There are 49 United and 67 Third buildings scheduled for this year. Temporary hotel stays are offered during tenting. Please check the community website for additional information about the fumigation program. And this concludes my update this morning. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Siobhan. At this time, we'll go to open forum from members, and I would remind everyone to please silence or turn off your phones so that we aren't interrupted during the meeting. I meant to mention that earlier. In open forum, 3 minutes per speaker. Members only may address the board regarding items not on the agenda and within the jurisdiction of the Board of Directors. Board reserves the right to limit the total amount of time allotted to open forum to 30 minutes. A member may speak only once during the forum, and speakers may not give their time to other people. No audio or video recording by attendees, and no rude or threatening comments. And there are ways to join by Zoom or by link, the Zoom link, or by calling in. So at this time, do we have speakers, Michaela?
Yes, we have about 5, I believe. The first speaker is Chris Collins.
Good morning, Chris Collins, 3306Q, and I'm here again with an update on the work of the Foundation of Laguna Woods Village that we do on behalf of residents that are experiencing temporary financial crisis. So this is called Planning for the Unpredictable. The fires in LA were a wake-up call, but they are contained now and the rains have come, yet that doesn't mean that we can ignore the threat of wildfires even here in Laguna Woods Village. The Foundation of Laguna Woods Village is partnering with VMS to help residents prepare for the possibility of wildfires and other emergencies. A new televised interview series entitled Planning for the Unpredictable is going to be focusing on different aspects of emergency preparedness. Like many of you, the Foundation board members became concerned that wildfires could impact Laguna Woods Village and wanted to know what we should do to prepare. So the first interview in this series was with Eric Nunez, the Village of Director Security, and this will air on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. and Saturdays 12 noon in April, and then this will continue through May with other speakers. The interviews can also be accessed on the Foundation's website, foundationoflagunawoodsvillage.org, under the tab of disaster preparation. Chief Nunez discussed the preparations being made in the village and the relationship with the Orange County Fire Authority and the sheriff during emergencies, what to expect if evacuation is required, and steps you can take to protect yourself. This televised series is part of a public education partnership of the Foundation and VMS, excuse me, which will also include a media releases, public service announcements, and an emergency preparedness brochure. The topics covered will include, among others, the importance of having a go bag ready, assessing the alert systems, and how to use your smartphone to help in an emergency. The second broadcast is this month in May, and it will feature Fire Captain Nugent, public information officer within the Orange County Fire Authority. The Orange County Fire Authority is really who we default to, so that needs to be cleared up, I think. So if you have any questions about planning for the unpredictable, please contact the Foundation at comline.com, or you can go to our website, which is lagunawoodsvillage.org. So thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Next, please.
Yes, next speaker is Max Kimura.
Thank you very much. My request is for RV parking use without requiring ownership. To help, my language issue, I prepared here documents. I will deliver later. Yes. My name is Max Kimura, an active TV news producer, and I produced more than 20 years ago a documentary about the birth of the Laguna Woods village. Oh. And since then, I'm resident of the towers. My long-held dream has been to stay here in the United States half of the year, traveling by my motorhome, while in the rest of the year living in Japan to see my family, because I have here my family. This is my first child son. Yeah. And I went to the headquarters of security to change, ownership. I'm sorry. I went to the arrange parking issue to the security department, and they said I have to change ownership from mine to my partner, whose name is Peter Lin. Despite no actual change in ownership and no sale taking place, because I just want to rent my motorhome during my stay abroad in Japan. So I explained, this is the situation. This is me, younger, because this is. And GPS,
Thank you.
just GPT helped me make this yesterday. And so in my case, I have to change my ownership each 6 months. And, but I would like to rent him while I go to Japan. So please arrange this issue and for me. And actually, I have under treatment of cancer at Memorial Hospital, Memorial Care Hospital, and continue my treatment in Japan later. So please let me go to Japan to see my family. Okay? Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Pictures are worth thousands of words. Thank you very much, Mr. Kimura. Thank you. Next, please.
Next speaker is Suzanne Model.
Hi, Susan.
Hi, my name is Suzanne Modell. I live at 3314A, and I'm president of Concerned Citizens and speak here as a representative of Concerned Citizens. Rumor has it that GRF would like to shut down the village bus system. That would be a great shame for a whole host of reasons, but ridership is low and continues to decline, so it's hard to argue for retaining a fleet of vehicles. One way to turn the tide is to increase ridership. Concerned citizens would like to see the village engage in a concerted effort to increase ridership by participating in the annual nationwide campaign, A Week Without Driving. This is an event sponsored by a nonprofit organization called America Walks. This year's campaign will take place from September 29 to October 5. Its short-term goal is to familiarize people with alternatives to private cars. Its long-term goal is to increase the use of these alternatives to reduce our carbon footprint and enhance the lifestyles of non-drivers. Concerned Citizens is willing to support GRF and staff in promoting A Week Without Driving, but we do not have the authority or the resources to mount such an effort on our own. Village participation would require considerable preparation in terms of publicity and education. Despite substantial outreach, the average resident knows nothing about village bus stops, there aren't any, or village bus routes. They do not know the bus schedule, nor that Lyft services substitute after hours. To secure even modest participation in A Week Without Driving would require orientation sessions, simplified distribution of RFID chips, one-on-one assistance with the Lyft app, and a short-term revival of the bus buddy system would be helpful. Last year, 23 local organizations across 50 states, as well as 10 national organizations, participated in the Week Without Driving. Should GRF and village staff be interested in taking this last stand to increase ridership, America Walks is available for guidance, and Concerned Citizens stands ready to help. We ask that you give this proposal serious thought and let us know if you decide to proceed.
Thank you, Suzanne. Next, please.
Next speaker is Yvonne Horton.
Yvonne Horton. Everybody knows me. Okay. First, I want to remind you that there are no secrets in Laguna Woods. It's become obvious to me and others that the board doesn't understand their job. You serve at the pleasure of the mutual. You as a board cannot sell, lease any GRF property. You cannot encumber any GRF property. You do not have that authority. I suggest you read your charter, your trust, your bylaws, and your code of conduct. You'll find a roadmap within those documents to do your job. Your job is not to spend us into oblivion either. According to the Finance Department, we have a combined balance of $32 million in the GRF coffers. However, your proposed unbudgeted items will bring that amount down to $3.5 million. Your job is to protect the assets, keep them in good repair, not just the ones you like, but all of them. I believe that you should be looking at the deferred maintenance here in the village. Concentrate on that, and I think it'll keep you busy until the rapture. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Yvonne. Next, please.
Final speaker is John Beckett.
Good morning.
Good morning, John.
I guess you all know why I'm here. I'm trying to resolve a dispute with GRF about Trust Facilities Fund. I came across this section in the GRF bylaws called Dispute Resolution. Quote, "It is the intent of this corporation to resolve disagreements with mutual members in a non-adversarial, cooperative environment." Back in 2020, I requested internal dispute resolution pursuant to Civil Code Section 5915. It says that when a member requests internal dispute resolution, the board shall designate a director to meet and confer. A director. Well, they set up the meeting, and when I went, I was greeted by 3 directors, 2 staff people, and 1 lawyer. 6-1 against me. Needless to say, that went nowhere. I believe that binding mediation offers us a non-adversarial cooperative environment if both parties act in good faith. Last month, I offered to engage in binding mediation. My offer is still open. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Does that conclude the
Yes, that is all.
member speakers? Are there any responses to open forum at this time?
Yes.
Siobhan?
Security will be getting back to Mr. Kimura about the recreational vehicle issue. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ellen?
Yes, Suzanne, I wanted to ask you, you were talking about RFID distribution. What did that mean? Yes, I know what RFIDs are, but why would we need to distribute them?
Perhaps I misspoke. It's
Okay.
just that you can't ride the buses without them.
Oh,
See,
the little
and so if we were
tokens.
trying to get more people on the buses, you use them to count people, then more, you're not supposed to get on the bus without it, or we'd have to muddle our way through what we
Okay.
want to do about it.
Okay,
Thank
thank you. Like a
Thank you.
token, thank you.
Okay. Moving on to consent calendar. All matters listed under consent calendar are recommended for action by committees and will be enacted by the board in one motion. In the event an item is removed from consent calendar by members of the board, such item shall be subject to further discussion and action by the board. There's only one item. Do I have a motion to pass consent calendar? Approve the consent calendar. Okay, Martin, second. Second, please. Ellen, thank you. And all those in favor? Thank you. Passed. Unfinished business. At this time, I believe we have a report from Mr. Gomez regarding the Building E structural review update. very important project to us.
Thank you and good morning,
Good
members
morning.
of the board. As you are aware, at your last meeting, you approved an expenditure to hire a consultant to investigate the building, prepare a cost estimate to refurbish the building, and bring it into current building code compliance. The first step in that was to remove portions of the ceiling, some of the walls, and the flooring. That work has been completed as expected. All of that material tested positive for asbestos. And so we have prepared a asbestos clearance plan that has been submitted to AQMD for giving us the green light to proceed and proper disposal of the material. We expect to have that within the next 2 weeks from AQMD. Once we receive that clearance, then the consultant will be able to enter the building and conduct their visual assessment of the components of the building that have been exposed by the cutouts. So we feel that the consultant's report should be ready probably around the end of this month, maybe no later than the first couple of weeks in June. And then we will be ready to present that to the Space Planning Committee and the board at your direction. So things are moving along, other than this little hiccup with the asbestos, which was to be expected. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Any questions for, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so I asked previously that we be able to meet with him before he, actually I said start, but I mean, we'd like to meet with him and or some of the members and discuss some questions of concern to us. Would that be a possible way to do that? Because we don't want the report coming in and then saying, hey, how come this wasn't checked? We should have an opportunity to state some needs that we have, because otherwise we just get onto the same old train that we had with the evaluation of this building and the rebuild of the original thing. So if it's at all possible, we'd like to meet the guy. We can be a special meeting. Doesn't have to be long. Can be on a day when he's going to be here anyway. But if at all possible, we need that.
Yeah, we understood that was an interest of some of the board members, which is why when we presented this to you on April 1st here at the board meeting, we included the scope of work that details, outlines what the consultant is going to do. That was included with your staff report. We, I think, forwarded that again to a few board members who inquired. Having said that, we're happy to, if you feel it necessary, we're happy to set up a time for Director Garthoffer or any other board member who wants to meet with the consultant. But keep in mind, the scope of work has already been established, reviewed by the board, and the consultant has been provided with that work. So any change to that scope of work would require us coming back to the board.
Gary?
I commented back when we did that we keep saying that this is a structural review, but the first thing that's listed is an architectural review, and then a fire review, and there was another element. And the gentleman, or the firm, as I understand it, is a structural review outfit. The scope of work is well beyond just structural. And my comment was, yeah, I think the key to look into the future is the structural report. You know, if the building is no good structurally, then that will be the end of the discussion, I would assume. So I do have a problem with the scope of work as written.
If I may.
Please.
So the request from the board was to have the consultant prepare a cost estimate to refurbish the building and bring it into current code compliance. So in order to do that, you need to do more than just a structural review. So that this consultant is both an architectural and a structural consultant, and then they are subbing out the portions for the other programs, such as the electrical, the plumbing, and the fire systems. So all of that we think you need to have, the board needs to have, in order to get a appropriate cost estimate as to what it would cost if the board decided to refurbish this building, bring it into current code compliance, to make it available for staff to inhabit the building again for office work.
Other questions? Steve?
I would like to say that I support Gary's remarks. If the building is not structurally sound and cannot remain, spending any additional time or monies on any other thing inside the building is moot point. So although they may be in the scope of work, I think the most important thing at the very front end is the building structurally sound? And if not, can it be made structurally sound? And for how much money would it cost to make it structurally sound? And then decide whether or not you want to pursue a renovation of the building. But I think,
That's the plan.
yeah, but
Martin?
Yeah, if we take into account the ifs and the scope of the work and carry it out, we're going to get that number, and we're going to know what way to go, I believe, once we get that number. But we got to carry out the scope of work. Thank you.
Okay. Further discussion? Okay, well, carry on.
Thank
We'll
you.
look forward
Appreciate it.
to seeing that.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Bring us a number.
Yes, bring us a number. That's exactly right. Yes, yes, and let us have some input as needed. Okay, moving on to 12A. I need a motion to update the current list of GRF committee appointments. Egon, would you read us the changes, please, under 12A?
Yes. So, Resolution 90-25-XX Committee, GRF Committee appointments. Resolved May 26, 2025, the following persons are hereby appointed and ratified to serve on committees of this corporation. So what I'm going to do is read only the changes. Otherwise, we'll be here all morning. Finance Committee, Marie Collins is removed as an alternate for United. Landscape Committee, again, Marie Collins removed as United. Mobility and Vehicles Committee, Peggy Moore is removed as an alternate for third, and Craig Wayne is added as an alternate for third. Marie Collins is removed as an alternate for United. Security and Community Access, Craig Wayne is removed from third, and Peggy Moore is added from third. Disaster Preparedness, Jules Zallen is removed from third, and Ruth Johnson is added from third. Space Planning Ad Hoc Committee, Steve Parsons is added as an alternate for third. These are the only changes. Resolved further that the Resolution 90-25-22 adopted April 1, 2025 is hereby superseded and canceled. Resolved further that the officers and agents of the corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution. I offer this resolution.
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Thank you. All right, committee assignments approved. Next, we have to look at a motion to approve a donation of light volleyball club sign for Clubhouse 1 Gymnasium. That is item 12B.
Yeah.
Is there a staff report behind, in front of this? Let's see.
Allison?
Yes, we have a donation of light volleyball club sign. Yes, she's here. Good.
Good morning, Second Vice President Bach and members of the board. This request came to us from the Light Volleyball Club. They'd like to donate a vinyl sign to hang in the gymnasium at Clubhouse 1. Currently, there are 3 other signs on the wall, and they just want to be spirited like the rest of the groups. It's a vinyl sign. It's the same size as the other signs in there. And in April, the Community Activities Committee reviewed and recommended the request to the board for consideration. So there's minimal staff time required to hang this sign. It's a pretty easy thing and no expected maintenance along with it.
Okay. And do we have a resolution to read? And
Just a question.
Yeah.
They're good people, right? Not troublemakers, right?
Yes, they're very spirited. They have a lot of fun in there.
They're terrific. I've been
Yes.
there.
Okay.
No conflicts with them.
I don't know why I asked that.
The
Okay,
CAC
Ega?
approved it, so we approved it, and
Yes.
this is a group of volleyball players, right?
Yes.
And they call them light, meaning not
Light,
as
yes, and they play
experienced.
with a little bit
lighter.
different ball and lower nets, a little bit easier on the body than the hardcore volleyball groups we have in there.
Right.
I think they have about 40 members in their club, and it continues to grow. As people see how much fun they're having, they've had some success with people joining.
Okay. Thank you, Ellen. Egan, would you read the resolution, please?
Yes.
Or the important?
Resolution 90-25-XX, donation of light volleyball club sign for Clubhouse 1 Gymnasium. Whereas residents request of the donation of a sign for the light volleyball club to be mounted on Clubhouse 1 Gymnasium wall, and whereas Laguna Woods Village clubs and or individual residents have historically donated items to GRF for the to enhance GRF facilities, service and programs for the enjoyment of all village residents. And whereas the light volleyball sign would like to donate a vinyl sign measuring approximately 32 by 72 to be mounted on the Clubhouse 1 Gymnasium wall, and whereas the sign is estimated to cost $80 and will be mounted by staff next to the volleyball club sign, and whereas additional signage exists on both for the badminton club and the pickleball club, and gymnasium signage builds interest while promoting spirit and camaraderie amongst users. Whereas on April 10, 2025, the Community Activity Committee reviewed and recommended the resident request of the donation of the sign for the light volleyball club to be mounted on the Clubhouse 1 Gymnasium wall in accordance with the Golden Rain Foundation donation policy. Now therefore be it resolved May 6, 2025, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopts the resident request of the donation of the sign for the light volleyball club to be mounted on the Clubhouse 1 Gymnasium wall, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized to carry out this resolution. I offer the resolution.
Second. Okay, discussion? Okay, vote. All those in favor? All right, hang your sign. Thank you. Okay, next we will entertain a motion to consider the donation of a misting system for Lawn Bowling Club. And this one is also you, Allison.
I represent the Lawn Bowling Club.
Oh, very good. Welcome. Your name, please?
Clyde Seacock.
Welcome.
About 6 years ago, you approved a mister system for the Lawn Bowling Club, but the technology in those days was a little low, and the pressure wasn't enough. Well, the technology has changed from PVC to a nice little plastic hose that comes with a pump. And those of you that have been to Palm Springs and places, you see this. It reduces the temperature 15, 20 degrees without causing any mess, et cetera. We're willing to pay for this thing. We're willing to put it up ourselves. With regards to water consumption, it's about 2 flushes an hour, 2 toilet flushes an hour. So it's minimal the amount of water that you use. So it'd be very helpful. Our membership drops in the summertime because it gets to be 140 degrees out on that green, and that's going to help our membership and us old people.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So instead of liking the dripping running water, you want the mist, is that right?
It's a kit that you buy
Yeah.
now.
I know the
It's all ready to go with a
old
pump.
fittings with low
It doesn't
pressure.
drip. It's
Just-
simply poof. It's a
Yeah.
mist. Nothing touches the ground.
Yeah.
And by the time it gets to the ground, it's
Evaporate.
gone. Yeah, right.
But the old ones was like
The old
it
ones
dripped.
they
and
didn't
right-
have enough pressure and they dripped. And
Yeah.
people are concerned to be slipping on the wet pavement.
Oh, yeah,
et
it
cetera.
becomes a
all
hazard.
those concerns are gone now because it comes with a pump. And we're willing to pay for it ourselves. We're not asking you for any money. I noticed the name donation. I don't. Maybe I misunderstood what that means.
Okay.
Does that mean you donate
It's
it?
a donation from.
Yeah, you don't have to donate.
Correct.
We'll take care of it ourselves.
Right. Thank you.
Keep you out of the picture. I think it'll go faster.
Undoubtedly. Director Giglio, will you add, please, to the analysis?
I beg your pardon?
Allison Giglio will add to the commentary here.
Yes, this was also approved by the CAC at the last meeting, or recommended to you from the CAC meeting. We don't expect there to be too much maintenance involved with it. I think the Lawn Bowling Club is going to take it down at the end of the season. If they do need help putting it up, we can assist with that, and they have storage for it. We don't think there's going to be any issues with the water on the playing surface. It's a pretty basic misting system to just help keep them cool.
Okay.
Does removing it and installing it requiring you to have to work aloft?
No, it's all done.
Okay, you can stand on the
The
ground.
existing sunscreen unit that's been there is permanent, and we just put up there with the tie wraps.
So
Okay.
Season's cut up the tie wraps.
So no tools and
No
hammers
tools.
and screws.
Garden hose.
I'm just concerned about liability. That's
Yeah,
all.
in your packet, you can see a diagram of where it hooks up around the facility. And obviously, if there are long-term maintenance costs with it, this is not something GRF would continue to maintain. It's something that the Lawn Bowling Club is committed to doing for this season and taking care of the cost of it. We just need to bring it to GRF to accept that as a donation and to alter a facility.
Good. Thank you. Questions, Ellen?
Chair, again, the CAC approved this, so
Right.
this has been through committee.
Okay. Super.
Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions? If not, would you read the resolutions again?
Resolution 90-25-XX. Whereas the Lawn Bowling Club requests the donation of an ultra-fine water misting system for the lawn bowling amenity, and whereas Laguna Woods Village clubs and/or individual residents have historically donated items to GRF to enhance GRF facilities, services, and programs for the enjoyment of all village residents, and whereas the Lawn Bowling Club would like to donate a misting system and a 110-volt AC pump to be temporarily installed by club members during the summer months to keep players cool during the summer months, and stored by the club during the cooler months, and whereas the total cost of the donation is $1,479, and whereas the misting system would be attached to the existing shade structure within the amenity, and whereas on April 10, 2025, Community Activity Committee reviewed and recommended the Lawn Bowling Club request of the donation of the ultrafine misting, water misting system for the lawn bowling amenity in accordance with the Golden Rain Foundation GRF donation policy. Now therefore, be it resolved May 6, 2025, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopts the Lawn Bowling Club request of the donation of the ultrafine water misting system for the lawn bowling amenity, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized to carry out this resolution as written. I offer this resolution.
I'll second.
Second, Steve. Any further discussion? Okay, we will vote. All those in favor? All right, have a very cool time. Thank you. Thank you. Very good, nice donation for your group too. Very helpful. Okay, at this time we'll move on to entertain a motion to approve box office software transactions and credit card fees to be absorbed by ticket purchasers or clubs. This has been out on 28-day. This is going out on 28-day notification for member review and comments to comply with Civil Code 4360. And this is a report from Allison again.
Hello again.
Yeah.
GRF is implementing new box office software to replace the antiquated software at the box office, which is no longer supported and kind of nearing the end of its useful life, and it's going to be obsolete soon. So after review of several cloud-based software systems with PAC staff, IT, the communications division, the venue software was selected for that. It's a cloud-based software, and it provides flexibility for series ticket sales. The reporting will be better. It's just a better, more user-friendly service for the customer. There are fees associated with it, however, to use the software, and it's proposed that these fees be covered by clubs and patrons. And if approved by the GRF board, staff will ensure that customers and clubs are notified of new fees in advance of implementation, including displaying those fees, notifying them. Several clubs already have contracts in place. We will honor those contracts, and this will impact them in future years. But it's recommended that we implement these fees as soon as possible. We are in the process right now of implementing the software, and it should go live, I believe, at the end of this month for a California Club event. And the credit card fee of 2.75% will be transferred to the patron on all transactions in person and online. Staff is currently working with Venue to obtain the lower credit card processing fee, which I think we are going to be able to meet those terms. If not, it would be a 2.95% with what we're currently using. The in-person ticket sales will incur a $2 per ticket transaction fee. That $2 fee includes a 75% software transaction fee, ticket supply cost, and it'll help cover the cost of the box office staffing. And clubs may choose to absorb the fee, or they can pass it along to their members, so we're flexible with that. And the online ticket sales will stay at $2 per ticket fee, which includes a 90-cent transaction fee and an average of the variable adjustable cart fee. And by passing on the credit card fees to patrons, it's projected will save approximately $12,500 annually. And this was brought before the Finance Committee, and they recommended it to GRF. I do have Laura Cooley from the Performing Arts Center and Renee Anderson. Renee has spent an incredible amount of time implementing the software and doing the research, and if you have any specifics, they'll be able to help answer those. Yes.
Okay, questions, Martin?
Renee, Laura, you guys are cool. Thank you for your work you do. Has anybody looked at the security? As a software company, do they have, I'm sure they have some element of security relative to sensitive information like this. What do they advertise that in the sales of their software?
Renee. Renee, you should come on up to the mic.
Thank you.
Everything is extremely secure. There's two-factor authentication on every transaction. Everyone who uses the software, as far as the back end is concerned, who has access to any of the information, the financials or anything like that, you have to have an authenticator on your phone. Every time you log in, you have to put code in. So it's verifying our identity every single time we interact with it. Okay. As far as the community and the safety, it's actually going to be under the guise of the Laguna Woods Village website. So all of the security features that are in that website will carry on into the Vivenue platform.
Great. Is Vivenue, how's it pronounced?
Vivenue.
Vivenue. Mm-hmm. Are they charging any additional licensing fee, or are they going to make their money strictly on the fees collected?
They will make their money off the fees collected. So
this is no cost to install, to get rolling. They've already spent a lot of time educating you and selling you on the process, and in turn, this has been approved by committees. Okay. Other questions for?
Yeah.
Yes, Egan?
Yeah, I got a question. So you're doing the same thing at clubhouses. You're selling tickets at Clubhouse 1 and 7 and 5, sometimes depending on the event. Are you going to put the charges on that also? Because you got credit card fees there too.
So the idea right now is for this to be at the box office, and we'll get that implemented and running. It does have the capability to sell tickets for monthly dinners and things like that. And yes, we already have, when we sell through ActiveNet, we've already charged those credit card fees to the patron. But the same would apply if they're buying a ticket for a meal and we decide to transfer over to this software for that, they would be charged the credit card fees as well.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions, concerns? Okay. Hearing none, we will read the resolution, at least the beginning and the end of it.
Yeah, this will be fun. I'm not going to
Yeah,
do all
right.
the 2.95% and 2.75%. Well, I'm just going to read the outline. Resolution 90-25-XX, GRF transaction and credit card fees. Whereas the Recreation and Special Events Department currently absorbs the costs associated with credit card fees for tickets and events at the Performing Arts Center, PAC, including a 2.95% per transaction credit card fee for online purchases and a 10-cent per ticket printing fee for clubs, and whereas the PAC has no transaction fee for in-person ticket purchases, resulting in GRF taking the burden of the cost, and whereas the Golden Rain Foundation seeks to promote the long-term financial stability of the Performing Arts Center by shifting the cost of ticketing transactions and credit card processing fees to the users to align operational expenses. And whereas the box office system, ticketing platforms, and posted signage will be updated to reflect and communicate the change in fee to the patrons, and the clubs will be notified in advance. Now therefore be it resolved June 3, 2025, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby approves the box office software transaction and credit card fees associated with recreation and club events at the PAC be absorbed by ticket purchasers or club effective June 2025, and resolve further that officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution. May initial notification. Should the board endorse the proposed revisions, staff recommends that the motion be made and seconded to accept the resolution and allow discussion to ensure that the resolution reads to the satisfaction of the board. Staff then recommends that the board postpones the resolution to the next available board meeting no less than 28 days from the postponement to comply with Civil Code 4360. I offer this resolution.
Second, please.
I'll second.
All right. Further discussion? Hearing no desire for that, let us take a vote on that. All those in favor? Okay, resolution passes. Gary, yes? Vote has been taken.
As I saw this, it says it's tabled. The resolution is tabled. You know, we make the motion and then we postpone it. till
Yes,
next
there's a
month.
28-day notice.
Yeah.
Right.
I just heard that it was
Okay.
approved.
Okay, thank you. We approved it to go on 28-day notice. When we reconvene the festivities in June, then it'll be, and if it passes, then it'll be final. Thank you. Okay, item E, capital expenditure, remaining encumbrance considerations. This is an interesting one for us all. And is that, okay, Jose, welcome.
Hello, members of the board, thank you for having us. So as you know, every year, at the end of each year, we take a look at our capital expenditures report and take a look and see if there's anything that's been appropriated, to see if there's anything that we can remove. Because of all of the different appropriations that GRF has recently approved, we thought it was wise to take a second look now. So out of the remaining encumbrances before you for your approval to decrease funding, is about $575,000 worth of expenditures. They are included in your report, and I can certainly go through them if you'd like, but they include a variety of vehicles that have been in there, some set-top boxes, as well as some projects that have taken place, particularly your welding shop and some decreased funding for the PAC renovation. So happy to take any of your questions, or if you want me to go through them one by one, it's really up to you. But right now, staff's recommendation is that you defund $575,000.
Ellen?
Is this just to come off the report? Is that right?
It will stay on the report, but on the report it will show remaining encumbrance is 0. So it will just free some more funds up for you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Andy, you had your hand up? Did you have your hand? No, Martin? Martin, go ahead.
Yeah, you got any more?
We're continuously looking, and that is something that we continue to look at time and time again. Of course, as we go through the budgeting process, we come to you to get the funding, but it's not until we actually go and spend it that we come again to you for contract renewal and those kinds of things. So we're always looking.
I'm sorry. Yeah, because like in 24, I think we didn't spend like 100 and some odd thousand of the PAC sound system upgrade, and I was just wondering if that was in there or if that's been closed out.
That's $100,000 of the proposed defunding.
It's in here?
Yeah. It's on page 2 of 12.
The PAC 3 sound system.
The PAC renovation.
Sound system, there
It
it
was
is.
part of the PAC renovation.
Turn the page, Martin.
Which one?
Turn the page.
Oh, duh.
There you go.
Grazie.
Down on the bottom. $265,000. We're taking $100,000 out of it, actually.
Andy?
Jose, the last two items on the list are related to broadband. Is there anything else floating around related to broadband in the capital expenditures plans?
We will keep an amount of funding for set-top boxes to get us through until the end, but our plan is to use them sparingly or only if absolutely necessary.
Okay, so there is no other line item for equipment related to
Correct.
broadband services generally.
Correct.
Nothing big. This is it.
Yes.
This is all there is in the plan. Okay, Jose, could you explain to the people out there that the term encumbrance, as I understand it, means allocated but not spent or committed?
The term encumbrance, as we use it, means that you've gone ahead and approved the funding, and we haven't yet spent it. So it's dog-eared, if that helps you. Committed means something different, means that we've already signed a contract.
Sense. Yeah, it's a place is set aside for it, but and we do this, until we analyze it and think that it's okay, we don't commit to do it. So just the fact that when you hear the term encumbrance, it doesn't mean that it's a done deal. It means that a place has been set aside, and we've been, the rest of us are informed, it's been looked at, and at one point we thought we could spend it. Doesn't mean we're going to spend it if it's encumbered. That's what point I want to make.
Right.
The only thing I would add to that is some of these projects are in progress, right? So if making up a number, $100,000 project has been approved by the board, many of those instances we have contracts in place and we fully anticipate moving down the line and spending those funds. When there's still funds that you see in here, we've just not invoiced them, right? But that fund is set aside to be spent, and that was the reason why you still have funds remaining. In the broadband example, excuse me, the PAC, we've defunded, or we've recommended a defunding of $100,000, but we've recommended leaving $85,000 because we fully anticipate spending those funds by the end of the year. In fact, that work may have already been completed. We just haven't finished paying for it yet.
Okay, thank you. And the point is that the fact that it's listed as appropriated doesn't necessarily mean it's a done deal. We try to estimate these things up front, but things happen and decisions are made. So that's what the term means. So I think people might take it, encumbrance usually means committed, and that's not the case here. Thank you.
Okay, Egon is next.
Yeah. So on May 31st, we had a meeting in the Sycamore Room about budget, and at the end of that meeting, or during that meeting, a request was made that you forward to the members or the the board members, a list of unencumbered funds. And you sent us this. I printed this out from what you sent us. And the number of projects and the amount of money that is remaining unencumbered on that list is considerably larger than the amount on this list. Now, leaving out all of the projects for 2024 and looking only at stuff for 23 and before, you go all the way back to 2019. The total amount of money unencumbered is about $1.8 million for projects from pre-24. It is unlikely that we have stuff floating around out there that they haven't sent in invoices yet, and if they haven't, just, don't worry about it. I think we need to go through that list and take care of all of those projects. Take all of those projects off.
Right, so that's what we did, is we went through and we spoke with each of your department heads to take a look specifically at those items to make sure that there is something going on. There are a couple of items that either take a long lead time or that there is still work ongoing, or some of these, for example, that PAC renovation, I know that this board has taken a look at the thought about renovating restrooms, right? So there's a lot of plans that are there, and we need to be able to have the funding in place available for them. So everything that we propose to defund is something that we've worked with your department heads to see if it's ready to be defunded. Otherwise, if there's still plans out there, then we keep the funding in place.
There seems to be a big difference, though, between the $575,000 in your memo to us versus the analysis that Egon and others have done that show that it's closer to 1.8 million.
There is 1.8 million. Yes, part of what you received in your staff report shows the entirety of the expenditures report.
Yeah, you do show that, true.
Okay.
So I think at some point, whether it requires a special meeting or not, we need to sit down and look at those. I do understand what you're talking about. There was a plan to add or do the restrooms in the PAC, and the money was there for that. But for whatever reasons, delays and such, it didn't get done. Now, the question we have to ask ourselves is, should we defund that and then come up with a new plan? Because right now, M&C has, in speaking with M&C, they cannot do that project the way we're renting out the PAC now. So now we're stuck with a real situation, and there would be no real reason to carry the funds for that bathroom project forward, because it'll change so much if we wait another year or two. It'll be a long time before we have a chance to do that now. It would have been ideal to do it while the sound system was being done, but the logistics weren't there. So I think we should go through and look at every one of those projects. The only reason something should survive is because an invoice hasn't come in yet, and there are ways to handle that other than we can still defund all the rest of those things.
So if it's not an
I think
active,
we should look at one
active
by one.
project.
Yeah.
Okay, we have questions down here. Ellen was next, I believe.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to know what ITD means on your column.
Sure. It means inception to date. So some of these, as was pointed out, was approved back in 2019, and we don't want to just give you the last year. From when this was approved to today, how much have we spent?
Okay.
Gary, you were next.
Thank you. I'm speaking in support of Egon. I'm looking at riding greens mowers, rough mowers, buses, etc., that are lagging from 2022 to 2023, and now we're working on 25 and 26, and I see the same sort of items are coming back up again. I think we need to go through this and pack it, and some of this is, if you needed a mower in 2023 and you need more mowers now, why haven't you bought the mower? I think that's a discussion that needs to be held.
Sure, and we can definitely have those types of discussions. Just to answer that particular question, the lead time on those mowers, believe it or not, is about 2 years. Some of the items that we ordered in 2023, we're set to be receiving any day now, they say. So some of the lead times on specifically the specialty equipment is quite long. And then as far as some of your other items that you were talking about, some of the items that we're recommending for defunding right now are some 22 items from F2 trucks, F-250 trucks, equipment trailers, some more sizable trucks. So you have a lot of those items that we're currently proposing to defund.
Okay. Andy?
Fellow board members, do your homework. May 14th, we're having a CapEx meeting. Bring all these ideas and we'll go over them, past years too, and going forward. I don't know if anybody knows this. We have to really watch our cash flow, and this is a big item on cash flow, and we need to come up with a roadmap to show that we're acting responsibly based on some big expenditures coming down the road, which I'll talk about later in the presentation. So May 14th, anyone who's interested, show up with your ideas. And staff or fellow board members look at what finance has provided and challenge anything. It's fine. Thank you.
Steve?
What might be helpful is the list that you presented before with all of the items on it for that large number, 1.8 million or whatever it is. And so what we have in front of us today is what you have determined out of that prior list that can be
You have
taken
both.
out.
You have both. You have the full list. It starts on page 5 of 12.
Right. But so, and you've explained that the items that are not on this report today for the $575,000 are projects or purchases that are current.
That are current, that there's an active
Right,
plan
and you're
for.
waiting on deliveries of items and whatever the case may be.
Yes.
I think it could be helpful by the time the May 14 meeting comes, if you have the opportunity to take the rest of the list that you originally gave us a few weeks ago and strike the things that you know are going to be resolved in the next year. For example, like the mower will come in December, so we can take that off of the consideration to be removed.
I want to set the expectation a little bit. What we're going to be talking about on May 14th is going to be the 2026 capital. There's about 50 items or so that I think that you're going to make possibly better use of your time looking at those. We want to make sure and get a good 2026 capital plan going forward so we don't run into these types of items then.
Okay. Martin?
I asked a question that whatever has not been spent per line item, it has to be scope. We have to look at the scope of the work, and that if we've satisfied that we know we've done the job and that it can be closed out. I mean, I don't think you can just start now adding nickel and dime things to that line item, and just because you think the money's there, if you're working beyond the limits of the, there's scopes and there's limitations, and you have to respect both. Thank you.
My concern is that if we jump out and we start looking at 2026 and we haven't resolved 2020 through 2025, I think we got the wagon in front of the horse. We need to get that stuff cleared up before we decide what we're going to do in the future.
Perhaps at this point, if there is a desire on the part of the board to make a motion to approve the defunding of $575,464 to release these funds per the report in hand, that will help us get underway toward the rest of the project. So may I have a motion to that effect, Gary? So moved. It's Steve, okay. Further discussion on this?
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, I agree that it's not productive to muddle the 26 budget meeting with these items. So I suggest that as part of this motion, that we also schedule a special meeting of all members. We go through these items one by one. It should be relatively quick because, you know, I just have no understanding of how we would have a projector that was in 2023 for Clubhouse 5, where we've already, I don't know how many projectors we've bought up there recently, but there's just no reason why anything that's more than 2 years old or 2 years old or a year and a half old should be carried forward.
Okay.
Like I say, if it wasn't important enough to buy it at the time, it must not have been important. And if it's big enough, like the packed bathrooms, then we'll look at them as a separate project in the future.
Is there further discussion, or are we ready to vote the motion?
I was just going to.
Go ahead.
Can we do that at the agenda prep day? Have a special meeting right after?
Oh, let's stick to our motion,
Something to
please.
consider.
Yeah, Steve?
Just as an alternative, might I suggest that as opposed to having a separate board meeting, that each of these are broken out into the individual committee meetings.
Mhm.
So M&C
Good
you
idea.
discussed, because the individuals in those committee meetings they've been part of these discussions for the past, say, year and a half.
Mhm.
Likewise for vehicles, I think Robert would be very available to speak to all these things, and we can just keep to your normal meeting schedule, but we'll leave it to the decisions of the board.
No, I don't like that idea. I think this has come to us, it's been approved. We want to go back and muddle it in another committee meeting. How are we going to remember what we did in 2022 or 2023 in M&C meeting? I think we go with the projects, and I think the idea of doing it after the agenda prep is a very good idea.
Well, we can, yeah.
We have a limited amount of time, and that's right after the day of the budget meeting, and we get this out of the way.
Okay. Well, are we ready to call the motion then?
Yeah.
Thank you. All those in favor? Thank you. All right, motion passes. Please make those differences evident to us. Moving on, we are entertaining a motion to approve the installation of level 2 electric vehicle charging stations at select GRF facilities and to authorize staff to solicit construction bids subject to corporate member approval. And this is item 12F on the agenda. And we have some nice drawings to see. Hello, Bart. Welcome. Your report, please.
Good morning, Board. This is a continuation of a presentation that we had on the 14th. Just a recap, we're considering 5 locations for the possible installation of EV charging stations. These are level 2 charging stations. I'd like to point out that the plans for these locations have been already drafted and fully permitted by the city, so these are ready to go to bid now. We discussed the preliminary estimates at the last meeting. That is already in place. So the report before you and the request is to consider those 5 locations and direct us as to which ones of those this board would like to proceed with, if all of them, some of them, or none of them. The site plans, again, will show you where those parking spaces are going to be located. I highlighted a few items for your consideration, just to make you aware, such as the very tight timeline to complete this project, where it is required that the final invoice be submitted by the end of the year. In conversations with the engineer, who has already researched availability of equipment, lead times, we believe that that timeline is doable, that there should not be an issue with that. However, we will need to proceed with that work as soon as possible, but get it advertised, get a contractor on board, place those orders, and get it going. The grant requires consideration for prevailing wage also in conversation with the consultant, the estimates that you have already include prevailing wages. Other notes include that these charging stations be available to the public. These are level 2 chargers, but unlike the ones that we have here, these are capable of charging or dispensing much more energy than the ones that we have here at the community center. That must remain in operation for 6 years, and with that, its maintenance and monitoring as well. That has been considered by the engineer and by the Energy Ad Hoc Committee too, and they do not see an issue with that. It is noted, if you look at the site plans, that this will occupy parking spaces, whether it is 4 parking spaces for most of the locations or 10 parking spaces for Clubhouse 5. So in essence, you lose the use of those parking spaces for general use. However, when a member who is visiting the site who would have taken one of those spaces opts to charge their vehicle, then it is not actually a loss of a parking space. It's just being used for a different purpose.
Sorry, what was that last thing you said? That
the use of the parking spaces, if a member goes to any of those locations to, say, Clubhouse 1, and that member who was going to be there for something, whether it is recreational purposes, opts to charge their vehicle, then it is in essence not a loss of a parking space. It's just being reutilized.
So what you're saying is that those spaces are not to be allowed to use for general parking, even when there's an event and nobody is charging.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, that's a smelly part of these whole things.
Chair.
Steve?
Chair, I have a question.
Oh, Steve, I think was
Oh,
first.
okay.
So,
You're next.
Bart, I have some points and some questions for you. When I read this, my first issue was that at the April 14th meeting that we had, and we were talking about making appropriations for this, that I stated that I did not believe that we had to get corporate members' approval on this because each one of these is an individual project at a different location. So I still stand by that thought, and not looking for an answer from you, but at some point I think that has to be resolved for the board with council. My concerns with what's presented is that in your table, directly underneath description, you have consultant, JM Electrical. JM Electrical is not a consultant. We hired them to design and submit and get approval for the plans. It was work for hire. So when I see the language that says they're a consultant, that doesn't jive with my understanding. Basel is a consultant for the Energy Ad Hoc Committee or for the GRF board, but we entered into a contract with JM for them to develop those plans, which they've done and they've completed, right? So their work has finished, and unless we're going to retain them as a consultant, I think that the description as a consultant is incorrect. My other concern is that generally when we do projects, we have a 10% contingency. And what I did not understand in this table, that you have a column for allowance for change orders, 15%, and you have construction management at 8%. Could you explain why you think there should be a 15% change order column here, and what you're anticipating for construction management costs? What exactly is that?
I will be happy to provide answers to your questions. Let me start first with the use of consultant. For our purchasing procedures, when we hire someone that is not a VMS staff, that individual will either be a consultant or a contractor. A consultant provides, obviously, consultant services, and that is why we term the services that JM Engineering provided as a consultant and not as a contractor. They did provide engineering services for this. They prepared the plans, submitted the plans to the city, and got permits. And that is the scope of work of this consultant that GRF retained. Does that answer your question?
I don't agree with your statement because, again, I see JM as a contractor that we hired to develop, submit, and get plans approved. It wasn't an ongoing consulting contract. It was a fixed group of things to be done. But we can put that aside. I'm more interested primarily in these two columns about the change orders and the construction management because that adds 23%.
So first, that is an allowance. And let me explain to you the reasoning for the amounts. For change orders, the 15%, at various stages of the development of a project, the contingencies will vary. At the very early stage of design development, contingencies could be up to 30% when you don't know all of the parameters of a particular design. With this one, it was processed at such a fast rate that there was no time to provide constructability review and a detailed plan check, other than what the city provided. The engineering drawings that are going to be bid will be subject to a set of reviews for constructability to make sure we're not missing anything. It is ideal to bid a project, put it out to bid that is complete, because dealing with change orders in the future are typically more expensive. Should the plans not have any corrections, we will not get it close to spending the 15%. It will be a smaller amount. And again, that is an allowance. That is an amount that will not be spent unless it is justified. But we're going to do our best to complete this constructability review for you before we put it out to bid, so that amount will be minimal. For now, we do not know what that will be, and as such, it is estimated to be at that range. As the project develops, that will decrease. And the same with the construction management services. This is a very fast-paced project, given the current staffing levels that we have, the resources that we have in the projects that they are working on. This is considered to be best managed by an outside consultant that can dedicate their time to making sure that the project is performed to your expectations and the expectations of the grant.
Okay, so I guess my point is this. People install level 2 EV charging stations all the time. We have 5 sets of plans from J&M,
yes,
which have been approved by the city, right? And have been approved for grant recapture. The usual, normal procedure here, in my mind, is that these would go out for bid. The plans, as they are, define the scope of work in their entirety, and they should go to the purchasing department to be put out for bid, and then those contractors will bid, and we will see what they think the anticipated amounts are going to be, and we will make decisions how we want to proceed based on those bids. We may not want to do all the projects because we may say, you know what, that one's too expensive, or that one, we'll just take it off the list. We haven't gotten to that point yet. And the only way that we're going to get to that point is to see actual hard numbers from bids on an RFP. So really, to me, this prognostication of the numbers is just, I don't see where it has the basis for it. We need to put it out to bid, get the bids, then we can look at it and we can say, you know what, let's skip Clubhouse 5 or only put in 2 dual bollards instead of 5, or whatever the case may be.
Okay, we have lots of questions here. Ellen was next.
Yes, thank you. Clubhouse 7, I think that's the north side of the clubhouse where they do the balls, like pitch the ball. What is it called? Practice range. How many parking places are there total?
In the whole lot?
In the back side where they do the practice range, yeah. I don't know if those are parking
And
spaces.
I do not have that
no,
number.
I was just wondering, because if we're taking up 5 spaces, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And so there's a lot of car parking there then, correct? Is that right, Gary? You see that? Okay. In the equestrian center, it would be behind the gates?
Correct.
I thought in our original discussion, we talked about it being outside the gates. There's like 4 spaces there, and it would be available to maybe maintenance or somebody that wanted to plug in, but I didn't know they would have to go inside the gate. So how is that? I really remember that, because that was important to me.
So I can answer that?
But wait a minute. My comment is, I don't want to support anything that is inside our gates. I want to keep our community private and secure, and I would support 7 and Equestrian Center if the chargers were outside the gates. I want to maintain our private community. When somebody plugs in, how many hours does it take to charge? 4, 5, 6 hours. And where do they go? Because we have to keep it open to the public. Where do these people go? And then another car has to come in to pick them up because they don't live there and they don't know what to do. I don't like that idea. I agree that we should probably focus on some charging ports, but the 7 and Equestrian Center are the ones that I have my eye on, but I thought it would be outside the gate at Equestrian Center. And we want to continue to provide security here and private community. Thank you.
Let's go through the director's questions, and then we'll come back to answers, if you can hold. Marie?
Yes, to follow up on Director Ellen Leonard's comment, and I'm always about cost-benefit analysis. Like Ellen, I thought that we were going to do the equestrian outside the gate, and I would purport that. All right, I also would like for us to compare taking the grant money. Now, this is a one-time grant money, right, for construction?
Yes.
Okay, all right. To do this inside gates for Clubhouse 1, 2, and 5, we're taking a grant of $153. Okay, that's reducing our costs there, but that ups our costs somehow on maintaining security. How are we going to have people come in? What is it going to cost to give them a pass or whatever? And then they're in there for 6 hours, and at Clubhouse 5, they jump in the pool, they use whatever, that kind of thing. So is it worth $153,000 to give up that security? And in fact, it would be more than $153. So if we do this inside the gate, I would, inside the gate for 1, 2, and 5, I would be for foregoing the grant money on that and buying our security and reducing additional security cost for that. And like Ellen, I would like to support, if we do it at the Equestrian Center, I think it should be outside the gate. If there are other places outside the gates that we could put one, like up in the parking area where we parked, we went to a equestrian festival some time ago, and we parked up above there. Perhaps up there where there's no gate up there. That's my comment.
Okay, who's next? Martin?
I'm having a math problem. The spreadsheet on page 2 of 8, I got a $22,000 error in there, and I don't know if staff could go back and review it to.
Which column, Martin?
Oh, it's the whole, the bottom number. I get. Okay. Oh, okay. It is that the J&M Consult electrical is not included in the total.
No, it belongs in construction management. That's, the 29 is missing from the column, that's all it is.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It should be in column 4. The 29, I don't know, foot.
Okay, all right. Steve, you had a reply to
Okay, so
equestrian center design?
in regards to putting charging stations outside of the equestrian center, not possible. There are only 2 parking spaces there, and code requires that we have to have allowance for handicap van accessible. So you're not going to get, you're going to get 1 parking space there, and it's only going to be handicap accessible. It makes no sense to go through all of that and run it in and to have 1 single bollard level 2 charger. As far as the concerns about the security and the gates, and Bart can confirm what I'm about to say, is that residents use the level 2 chargers behind this building primarily, and the fast chargers are used by non-residents. Non-residents need to pull up to a fast charger to plug in for 20, 30, 40 minutes and be on their way. They are not going to trickle charge their vehicles inside our gates to put on 20 or 30 miles of range per hour. They're just not going to do it. So that's an outlier, and I think that I have a responsibility to bring that forward. No one's going to come. If I didn't live here, I would not bring my electric vehicle to Clubhouse 5 and plug it in and sit there for 5 hours. I would go to a DC fast charging point either behind this building or at the Chevron station up at the top of the hill or Electrify America or at the, that's the way that works. The point of this program is to provide level 2 charging stations for the people within the village because they have no other alternative. The carport charging at 120 volts has been exceeded. The number of people now trying to use that is causing the breakers to blow. When I developed that program back in the day, I made it very clear this is a short-term solution that will come to an end because we will have too many vehicles vying for too little electricity. So to your concerns about inside the gates, I don't see it as a security concern. We have auctions here, estate auctions. Those are the people who are flying through the gate all the time, and we have no idea who they are. So I just wanted to make those remarks.
Egan, were you next?
Yeah, I was going to ask a couple of questions.
Thank you.
First of all, why is Clubhouse 2 so expensive? On a per port number is twice as high. It's $40,000 for that.
I can answer.
Go ahead.
The infrastructure that is going to be put in will extend beyond the 4 ports. It will continue underground in front of the adjacent next 6 spaces, I believe. So although we're putting in the infrastructure for up to 10 ports, 5 dual bollards, we're only going to start by installing 2 bollards.
I see.
So that's the reason that it's more expensive.
Okay,
Okay,
Brad?
no, I'm not. No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Egan,
yeah.
you had more?
Okay, so, and then next I've got this. So grant approval from Communities in Charge. Is that, what is Communities in Charge? Is that an organization that is getting the money from the state and then passing it on?
That is the management agency that is providing the grant to us. They received the grant through from the state, and they're a pass-through agency, and they're the ones managing this grant.
So are they a state agency or a private corporation?
They're a state agency.
Okay. And is there any and how long is that 8,500 good for? I mean,
December
by-
26th, right?
Once an agreement is signed and the project starts, it has to be completed by the end of the year with a final invoice.
That we didn't know before. Is that correct? Is that new news? That it had to be completed by, that's always been known?
So I've got one other comment. If there are enough people that are deeply concerned about going behind the gate, and Ellen did put some interesting thoughts there that I hadn't thought of before, like what the heck are people going to do for 6 hours?
It doesn't take 6 hours, though.
Well, the slow chargers, it could, yeah.
Yeah, they wouldn't be, well.
Yeah, okay, regardless of that. Relatively speaking, the grant is so small that compared to the total amount that we pay. Maybe in some of the locations, we just eat that, and then we don't have to go through all the hoops of having a special handicap space and all this other stuff. And we can put our own rules in.
Marie? I'm
I
sorry,
just wanted to clarify.
I'm sorry, I forgot Brad was next. I'm sorry, Marie. Brad, you've had your hand
I'm
up for
sorry?
a while. Brad has had his hand up for a while. I'm sorry to. Brad, can you hear us? Can we hear you?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. The only point I wanted to make is these chargers are not being installed to support people outside the gates. When you start looking at the housing areas, there's just not enough power to start installing a slew of chargers there to support the potential growth for residents. These are really designed for residents only, and a level 2 charger is adequate. You're right, they're going to probably charge, you're going to get 25 miles per hour of charge on a level 2. So most people don't drive that much. You can put on for 1 or 2 hours as a resident, get some charge, spend your time at the clubhouse, the pool, whatever you're doing, and move on and go home. It shouldn't create any more of a security issue than we have with all the Amazon drivers and all the people attending the state sales like Egan brought up. But the reality is we need to start providing some level of charging capacity somewhere inside the village. And the most logical place, and what the state is, actually helping support, is putting them at the clubhouses and the equestrian center. Now that gate at the equestrian center is not secured. Anybody can drive up and drive through it that wants to. Most people don't realize that, but if you pull up to it, it opens.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really a secured area. But I just want to make those comments. We're really not trying to install these as a revenue source for people outside the gate. We really are installing them for residents as an interim solution to move to where we'll have enough power in the housing areas maybe someday to be able to support this.
Marie?
I just wanted to clarify my position that I stated earlier, because I think Steve might have misunderstood. I am not advocating not putting the chargers inside the gate. I am advocating not taking the grant money so that we don't have to make it open to the public if it's inside the gate. And that's where I said it would only cost us for those three $153,000 plus whatever it's going to cost to adjust our security. Okay, so I'm all for these EV chargers. I just am not for allowing the public or being required to have the public able to come into the gates for just this small amount of money.
Understood.
Yeah.
Egan?
I want to point out something. Yeah, you may, both Brad and Steve may be absolutely correct that mostly nobody from outside will come in, but some wise guy will come in and check it out and do this, and if he has any problem getting in through the gates, he's going to sue us, just like they sued us because our website wasn't suitable for people that don't exist. But we got sued anyway, and we paid. So just because you have something that you say, well, will never be used, somebody will come along and take us to task.
Okay.
Okay, Ellen?
Yes. Okay, I wanted to answer Steve's statement about the estate auctions. Those are only like once a month. If you're talking about allowing the public to come into our gates, you're talking about any hour, and you're talking about 18 hours is what this states, that our gates have to be open for 18 hours accessibility. So I support the chargers. You know, let's not take the grant money and let's put them wherever we want. But I do not want to let the public in here just open in 18 hours. Thank you.
Further discussion? Is there, Andy?
You know, when I drive by Clubhouse 7, there's a huge amount of unused land. It's embarrassing.
Right.
There's this road that goes up to the community center, and there must be a couple acres of parking spots, albeit it's all grass right now. I'm just going to ask you guys, theoretically, could you put all the chargers at Clubhouse 7 on that strip up to the club? Or is there a physical reason why you couldn't put all the chargers along that road up to the community center? You get what I'm saying? If you come into Clubhouse 7 off of Moulton and you bear left, there's a road that takes you to the employee parking lot behind this building.
Mm-hmm.
All along there, there's it's not level, it needs to be graded, but it's grass and dirt and mud.
Right.
And, you know, like for an event, for like the thing in June with the, the 60s Fest, people park their cars along that road, and it's fine, as long as it's dry. Is there a physical reason why the chargers couldn't all be in one spot if there was enough room?
I'll give you a couple of reasons.
Pardon?
I'll give you a couple of reasons.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. If you're concerned about people coming in our gates, Clubhouse 7 has a gate on it, and it's going to be closed and locked overnight.
Clubhouse 7?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. No, there's no gate. Oh, yeah, there is. I drove by there, and it's gated.
There's no gate, no.
So
It's not a gate.
It says gate, but there's no gate.
Not an attended gate.
Not the driving range, that's correct. You can't, but there is a gate that you can't get back into the employee parking lot and the rest of the stuff.
Well, you
Number
can,
one.
I've done it.
Well, here's the big reason.
Okay, go ahead.
If you want to build a water plant, you put it by the water.
That's right.
Okay? There's no power up there.
Okay.
The cost to run all of the lines necessary and install meters, the reason these locations were chosen was because the electrical rooms are close to the parking spaces, which minimizes the cost. And if the board doesn't want to do this, I don't have a problem. I brought it forward because this was an opportunity for us to defray some of the expense. And again, I'll go on the basis that you don't need the 15% allowance for the change orders, and you're not going to need an 8% construction fee. So if you just look at the estimated cost of construction at $528,000, and you look at the grant amount of $221,000, that's like 40% of the cost of doing it. So if you don't want to do it, if you don't want to take advantage of the grants, I have no problem. We can just drop this. But who will have a problem will be Mickey Choi, Mr. Prater, SK Park, and all of the mutual boards who are dealing with a very severe problem that has not been dealt with. So destination charging, as Brad pointed out, this is destination charging. So people who go to eat at the restaurant or go to Clubhouse 2 for a dance or go to Clubhouse 7 to play bridge or go to Clubhouse 5 to participate in an event who have an electric car that don't have a garage will have the ability to charge. You don't want to take the grant money? Don't take the grant money. It's $250,000.
Got a point. Follow up on that. What if at Clubhouse 7, where we're planning on putting this, we just took more spaces and then built some additional spaces off to the side where I'm talking about? You know what I'm saying? Right where the electric is, maximize the amount of spaces And those people will get displaced, but we'll give them spots right off the road. So they have to walk 50 feet, big deal, you know. There's so much unused land by Clubhouse 7 along that road that could be used for parking. So all I'm suggesting is take more parking spaces for this and then build some more parking spaces for the displacement, and you come out even.
I have a
What's
question
the
for
problem
Bart.
with that?
One second, please. Let's bear in mind that these are the approved plans.
Correct.
That have qualified for the rebate program. So
Yeah.
pie in the sky, another year, we could do exactly a lot of other things. But these are the approved plans on the board that we're talking about today. And the proposition is that we get firm bids, that we put this out under an RFP and find out for sure. Bart has done to the best of his ability to estimate these things, what these costs would be, but we don't know for sure. The only number we know for sure is that top one, what we have paid for the consultant to develop them and file for them and obtain them for us. Now it's up to us to say, do we go forward with this, or do we say, oh, never mind, you know, another year, another time, when we don't know what kind of rebates, if any, might be on offer. So that's what's in front of us right now, is do we proceed with this to get a firm set of numbers that allow us to make a decision in order to make that December 26th cutoff. And I see that Brad has his hand up. Brad, do you have something to add?
Yeah, the only thing I would add is. first of
Louder,
all, once we
please.
install-
Louder,
who's gonna
please.
motor inside the gates? I mean, that's the other thing. Once we install these chargers inside the gates, it's not like we have a sign on the gate that says, hey, charging, come on in. I mean, only the residents are really going to know where they are.
Right.
You know, you always have to worry about litigation. Someone could complain that they can't use our pools too. But the reality is, we need to start making some improvements for vehicle charging somewhere in the village. This is the most logical places. It's not perfect, it's not ideal. As the state brings out other programs, we can do more. But the reality is, I don't know how much longer California's budget is going to be able to sustain programs like this, because they're kind of running out of money based on what they're spending in other areas. So I would just say, let's take advantage of it. That's it.
So I'd like to
Do
make
we
a
need a
motion.
motion? at
I'd
this
like to
point?
make a motion.
Please, Steve, make a
I'd like to
motion.
make a motion that the board directs staff to take the plans that have been approved for the grants and to put them out to RFP and then bring those bids back to the board so the board can make a determination on where and how they wish to proceed.
Okay, I'll
Second?
second that.
Second, okay. All right. Discussion? Discussion at this point? Go ahead, Richard.
Dick Rader, 270D. There's been some discussion about the possibility of getting grant money for charging stations within the gates. But if you read the conditions for approval of that grant, it says the EV charging sites must be made accessible to the general public. And then it goes on for 18 hours a day or whatever. So the granting agency, what are they going to consider the general public? I know what my interpretation is. Are they going to refine it and say it's only the people that happen to come into the village as guests? I think because of that, I think that if you put or try to get grant money for within the village, charging stations within the village, you'll be denied.
It's already
I think it's a moot
approved.
point.
It's approved.
What's
Grant
that?
money is approved.
We are approved? Yes.
Grant money
it's
is
all-
approved.
That's
Wow,
why,
so
yeah.
they went along with the fact
Yes.
that the general public is
Yeah.
only the people, wow, I'm amazed. Thank you.
Okay. Further discussion, we have a motion on the floor that's been seconded. Is there further discussion before we go to a
Oh,
vote?
just
Marie?
one point of clarification.
Wait, one
Procedural
second,
question.
Marie.
Procedural question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When would it be appropriate for me to amend so that we forego the grant money for the ones that we're installing inside the gates? When, this is
You
not,
can make it right now, I believe.
is now the appropriate time?
Yes.
Okay. I move to amend that we forego the grant money for any EV chargers that are installed inside the gates.
Second. discussion of the,
That's a different motion.
It's a separate.
okay,
She amended it. You didn't amend the original motion.
okay. And those in favor, I assume there's no more discussion in favor of amending it to exclude from the rebate program any stations that are installed inside the gate.
Just forego the grant money.
Yes.
Those in favor?
I think we can, we could really.
That's my motion.
Just a minute.
That's my amended motion.
One person at a time. Egon?
We can really wait with the part about dispensing with the grant money until we get the bids back, so we
Okay.
know.
That's
Okay,
the
that was my
motion.
initial question.
That's
Okay,
the
so
motion.
now what do I do?
Do you want to withdraw your motion?
I want to withdraw that
Amendment.
motion. I have to get my second to agree. Okay.
I agree. So we're back to our original motion.
Right.
Is there further discussion of the motion? If not, all those in favor? Okay, motion passes. Thank you.
Good Lord.
Thank you.
We were having a good meeting until that came up.
Well, we've only got one more item before we take a break, unless we want to speed on through. So at this point, we have the revised purchasing policy, item 12G, on our agenda. And this is a report, I think, from Robert. If you would lead us through the discussion of this.
Yes, good morning. The GRF board had requested changes to the purchasing policy to clearly state that board members can become involved in projects during early stages of the project to provide input on the scopes of work. In addition, the GRF board requested to see the list of 2025 capital projects so they can identify the projects that they would like to become involved with, providing input to the scopes of work. That would be a discussion that we have in closed session. So as such, in section 4D of the purchasing policy, we added some language that we think we agreed with the GRF board members that more clearly provides that ability. So the section 4D has been added to the purchasing policy and reads, the board may provide input to the project scope of work at any point in the procurement process prior to advertising. The board should express their desire to become involved in the scope of work during the regular budget process. If the budget process has been completed, the board may request involvement in writing to the applicable department director as soon as possible. In addition to that, you'll see in the draft language of the policy, we added some minor revisions that were included in Third's current purchasing policy, and the approval of these minor changes will help ensure that the purchasing policies for all corporations remain substantively similar.
They're mostly Scrivener's notes.
Correct.
In those additional red lines. Marie?
Yes. I'm not familiar with the purchasing policy, but if it previously prohibited board members from participating in that, I applaud that you're correcting that, because according to the management agreement between GRF and VMS, Article 1, Section B says, and this would put it in line with the management agreement, agent, that's VMS, shall fully and freely confer with owner, that's GRF, in the performance of its duties in the foregoing things that we do. That part is the germane part. So that makes it in conformance to the management agreement. And possibly directors didn't realize this, that in the management agreement it says we fully and freely confer in coming up with these things.
Martin?
Yeah, they've always informed us as to what has been going on, but the involvement is what has been of question and concern. So, well, yeah, I mean, you could really start picking into it, but so now we've got some good language in there that gets us involved.
So I'll I'll move that we approve the revised purchasing
Well, we
policy.
actually have a resolution to this
Oh,
effect.
okay. Sorry.
Blue tab, 12G, which I will ask Egon to read to us.
Okay, Resolution 90-25-XX, revised purchasing policy. Whereas on October 23rd, 2023, the GRF Board approved the current purchasing policy establishing purchasing controls to optimize internal procurement and contracting procedures. And whereas the board recognizes there may be situations where the GRF board members want to become involved in projects during the early project development stages and provide input to scopes of work, and whereas revising the policy would provide clarity on board members' ability to become involved in the development of project scopes of work. Now therefore be it resolved June 3, 2025, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby approves the purchasing policy as presented, and resolve further that the Resolution 90-23-74 adopted October 2023 is hereby superseded and canceled, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purposes of this resolution. May initial notification. Should the board endorse the proposition revisions, staff recommends that a motion be made and seconded to accept the resolution and allow discussion to ensure that the resolution reads to the satisfaction of the board. Staff then recommends that the board members postpone the resolution to the next available board meeting, no less than 28 days from the postponement, to comply with Civil Code 4360. I offer this resolution.
And I'll second.
All right. Discussion?
Yeah, just,
Egon?
yeah, this is important that we do this, really important. It's exactly what I was speaking earlier about, us being able to talk to that consultant before he starts off on a road that we don't know where the road's going. So this is important resolution, very important addition.
I'd like to thank Gary for his work on this.
Yep. Yeah, indeed. Okay. Further discussion tabled. We will now call the vote. All those in favor? All right. Okay, 100%. Thank you. This will be a 28-day notice and taken up in the June meeting. Now, with this, we are at a 5-minute pause in the proceedings here, if you wish. If you wish to just come and go during the, we just lost our finance, so, okay. So we can move on
So we're
without him.
taking an automatic break.
I think so, okay. Literally 5 minutes, please, so that we can move on. Thank you.
How long the line is.
We're moving on now, after our break with committee reports. Treasurer's report, please.
Okay, are we,
Yeah, we're live and in color, yeah.
are we ready with the slides?
Yeah. You can read, okay.
Okay, the Treasurer's report for May 6th board meeting, and this relates to the March 31 results. Slide 1. This first table includes
Hey,
all
Andy.
revenues and expenses.
Andy, can you move one seat over? You're in Martin's seat
Pardon?
right now. You're in Martin Rosa's spot.
Oh, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Yes. No problem.
Okay, funny.
Okay, as I was saying, let's move on to slide 1. This first table includes all revenues and expenses for operating reserves and restricted funds. Through the reporting period, March 31, 2025, GRF had net revenue of $750,000 with a total revenue of $13.4 million and total expenses of $12.7 million. GRF was unfavorable to budget by $62,000, with total expense coming in better than budget by $394,000, combined with revenue under budget of $456,000. Okay, let's move on to slide 2. The next table displays the operating fund activities, which excludes non-operating revenues, expenses, and depreciation. This report shows an unfavorable variance of $189,000, with total expense better than budget by $309,000, combined with non-assessment revenue coming in under budget by $120,000. Slide 3. This slide shows our most significant operating fund variances by category, with green bars representing favorable variance to budget and orange bars representing unfavorable items. Zeroing in on a few of these, we had favorable variances in employee comp and related expense by $420,000, primarily in the areas of general services and landscape. There were various open positions in general services, primarily in fleet maintenance. Open positions remain throughout the organization. Recruitment is in process. Clubhouse rentals and event fees were favorable by $69,000, primarily due to more club events held in the auditorium of the Performing Arts Center, Clubhouse 5, in the first quarter of the year. Now, on the other side, unfavorable, golf revenue was down by $86,000 to budget, primarily due to inclement weather in the first quarter of the year, resulting in less golfing. And as prior years have shown, as the weather gets warmer, it picks up, and we usually make up this difference. It's very early in the year anyway. Repairs and maintenance was unfavorable by $98,000, primarily due to the timing of payments for various IT-related subscriptions, so timing issue. The invoices were paid up front in full for the year, but for budgeting, we spread them over the whole year. Additionally, broadband services was unfavorable by $111,000, primarily due to revenue for set-top boxes being lower than anticipated as streaming becomes more popular among the community. Further, clients are allocating more money towards other digital platforms that provide advertising metrics. Let's move on to slide 4.
Why is the broadband down?
The broadband is down because of the set-top boxes bringing in less revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a concern. We're working on it. Slide 4. This slide shows sources of revenue other than the assessments, such as fees and rentals. Year to date, we earned $2.8 million in non-assessment operating fund revenue, as shown on the pie chart. Our largest revenue category is broadband services, which includes internet service, set-top boxes, ad insertion, and premium channels, followed by other revenue, which includes class fees, electric vehicle charging revenue, additional occupant fees, equestrian center fees, and RV storage fees, clubhouse rentals and event fees, merchandise sales, and golf revenue. These revenue categories offset cost mostly and help keep assessments down. Some of them don't, and we're working on getting those performing better. Now we move on to slide 6, which covers the reserves. The reserves and restricted funds adjusted balances are shown here. With the first column on the left, reserve funds have a combined ending balance of $45.2 million. Restricted fund balances have an ending balance of $2.8 million. Included in these totals are contributions received in 2025 through assessments, trust facility fees, the $7,500 per resale fee, and investment earnings. The second column shows the work in progress of $11.5 million for reserve and $0 for restricted, reflecting the amounts paid for projects not yet completed. So those are committed. Those funds are not available versus an encumbrance. These are actually committed funds. So that means that the difference, column 3, is the adjusted fund balance of $33.7 million for reserves and $2.8 million for restricted. Let's move on to slide 7, I'm sorry. We have a slide here to show resale history from 2023 to 2025. Community-wide sales totaled 170 year-to-date, and that's pretty much in line for the quarter, not for individual months, for past periods. And these are the things that generate the $7,500 per unit fees. So we're very concerned that we keep up the resale activity in the village because it's an important source of funds. Let's move on to slide 8. This listing gives you an idea where the reserve money is committed. Of the $20.3 million appropriated by the board for various projects and equipment purchases, the remaining encumbrances against our reserves is $11.1 million, primarily for vehicles and renovation projects. Now, that does not mean that we're committed to spending that money. At one point, we decided we were going to spend that money, but before we spend money, we always look at it if it's appropriate, and we reserve the right to make some adjustments, and that will probably happen. Slide 9, we compare our adjusted fund balances to historical balances for the past 5 years, and on this chart, it shows GRF has averaged $31 million in reserve funds and $3.1 million in emergency funds. I'd like to take this slide in slide 8 to talk about a subsequent event. Prior to our finance meeting on April 30th, the corporate members and subsequently GRF approved the implementation of a broadband program which will cost approximately $16 million in reserve funds spread over 2 years. There are a lot of moving parts to this, and there are offsets on this cash flow that we have to determine. So it's a work in progress, and we'll keep you thoroughly informed. Just want to let the residents know that the $31 million is going to be impacted by the payment of this $16 million. But every year we have money coming in. We can defer projects, we can eliminate projects, we can look at further revenue items, we can look at better cost reduction. The point I'm trying to make is we're in the process of figuring out how to do all of this while still maintaining an adequate reserve level for the residents in line with our duty to be stewards of the reserve funds. So more to come on it later, and we'll keep you thoroughly informed. In addition, all the committees on GRF that are involved are going to work together so that when one piece moves, everybody knows what else is going on. So again, stay tuned, and we'll keep you informed on it. But that will come later. Thank you.
Okay.
Now, let's go, what else do we have?
Is that,
I did want to say also that we met on April 16th, and we talked about year-end results, and even though we haven't gone over that with the residents in our budgeting for operating expenses, one of the columns will be 24 actual. We will not be using 24 budget. So at that time, if the 24 actual was significantly out of kilter with the 24 budget, plus or minus, we'll discuss that because it could have an impact on the 26 budget, because 25, there may be a hint that 25 is not right. And we'll use that actual knowledge to further refine our numbers. So again, we didn't discuss the 24 results in any detail, but we will cover it in the upcoming budget discussions on operating expense.
Andy, do you want to move into Finance Committee report?
Here. All right. Okay. Now, our next Finance Committee meeting is June 18th at 1:30 p.m. in the boardroom. And with that, we're going to probably be able to talk about the May numbers because the books will be closed by then. We can't talk about April numbers now because we're so early in the month of May that the numbers aren't ready. But we'll cover both of those at our June 18th meeting. Now, moving on, we have the revenue generating report, which Director Bach will cover.
Okay, we really concluded our work in this revenue ad hoc committee because we found out pretty quickly there was very little that could be done that was legal, financially sensible, and politically acceptable to the community. There are lots of businesses we can't go into that we're limited by our trust, by our community, and so to do pie in the sky thoughts about what might be wasn't very productive. So we instead came up with a list of about 13 principles of budgeting and of cost conservation that are in this report to you all that is in your package. And I think the main thought is that every single committee, every single department has to do everything they can to raise fees, raise funds in some sensible way, to be complete and fully loaded in costs for every amenity, and to be honest and forthright in policies and procedures that bring us the revenue that we needed. I think a very important thing to remember is that to save or reduce $1 in GRF assessments per man or per month requires an annual revenue or cost adjustment of about $150,000. It takes a hell of a lot of money, in new fees, and new sources to offset even $1 per man or per month. So everybody's got to work on this together, and many small gains will add up quickly. And the big stuff takes, unfortunately, big capital investment, and they're long-term projects. So we've got to focus on the small stuff, and that was our conclusion. And we've got to make it a full team effort throughout GRF and throughout the mutuals and VMS, our good partner. That's it for me. CAC, Ellen?
Well, and following what you said about fees, the CAC has been, we haven't gotten just to the fees yet, but it's on the agenda for booking fees. So that's to come. But we've had very lively conversations about fundraiser, how to define a fundraiser, and how many events clubs could have at the Performing Arts Center. Recreation has provided a a calendar, a master calendar of entertainment, where the entertainment is, and how many events are being put on by the different clubs. So it's been very lively for the last 2 months, so join us on May 8th at 1:30 in the boardroom. Thank you.
Okay. Brad, you have 2 reports next, M&C and energy, and then your landscaping later. Landscaping first, excuse me, then M&C. Brad?
The landscape has not met. It's a quarterly meeting, so we have a meeting coming up in a couple weeks for landscape, so there's no new, nothing new to report there. The only thing I will say is April was the end of the every other week mowing schedule, so residents should start to see weekly mowing schedule in the housing areas. And there's nothing new to report from a GRF standpoint, landscape-wise.
M&C?
Egon actually chaired the last M&C committee meeting. We have several things going on under M&C. One we've already beat to death today, the EV charging. And then I think that Gary's going to talk about the energy committee later, the projects with solar. The only thing we have going on right now from an M&C perspective is just basically routine type of maintenance and addressing resident concerns if they bring something up that escapes our normal routine inspections.
Okay. Energy. Gary, do you have more? You've had a good day so far.
The minutes from the last meeting are attached to the package. Generally, the consultant is working on determining how, what kind of layouts we can get. He's even going on beyond that to his software that shows the shading and this, that, and the other. And I will share with the board members later our preliminary numbers on how much energy we could generate with those installs, and what revenue that could generate, or at least power that would generate, so that we could avoid SCE numbers. So we're progressing. Our biggest difficulty right now is trying to get our consultant signed off to be our representative with SCE. They decided that the form that was used was out of date, and we're scrambling to have to redo that, and that should be resubmitted today, tomorrow.
Whose formula? SCE's?
Yeah.
SCE's.
They changed their form in December, so they booted out what we had submitted.
Okay, gotcha. Oh, lovely. Okay. Let's see, space planning. Well, as you know, we're waiting for the plan to come back from the consultant regarding the condition and future of Building E. That will determine the next meeting, which is not yet known. Broadband, Martin?
Yes, broadband ad hoc committee. We had a closed committee meeting on April 21, where, of course, we're discussing that the committee is going to be going open in future meetings. Of course, you can pretty much guess what we talked about at the last meeting. First guess doesn't count. At any another meeting is yet to be determined, but yeah, I'm excited to see it. We're going to be pulling in media as well into what we're going to be involving. You got to update the charter though, but yeah, going forward.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Okay, Gary, M&B.
Again, the minutes of the last meeting are attached. Our next meeting is tomorrow.
Okay.
Is it tomorrow or Wednesday? Let's see.
The 7th, yeah.
No, it's tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
M&V is tomorrow.
Yes.
And especially in view of everything that we're talking about, the impact of broadband, et cetera, we will be taking a hard look at all of the money there. It's big expenditures, vehicles alone usually cost us like $1.5 million a year. So we'll have to take a hard look at that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Egan? Community security, community access?
Okay, Security and Community Access Committee met on April 23rd. So at that meeting, the Security Department came up with 2 small items they wanted. They wanted body armor, and they wanted to get a couple of electric bicycles. And we will see those in the budget. At that meeting, we also discussed my plan or my idea to start automating the gates. Let me tell you what the potential saving is on this. Doing about half of it, the first, all except for 3 gates, would save us enough money for a $8 per month reduction in the cost. And the total project would, done say over 2 years, would reduce the cost by $2 million a year, and that's just for all the people at the gates. There are 163 some people. We learned some interesting things at the meeting. For example, I didn't know, but on top of all the people that are at the gates, he's got roving people that go around to get bathroom and lunch breaks for people, and that adds up the cost too. So we got to do a diligent project, but we have a very, very quick payout, less than a year, and save that much money every year thereafter. The other thing, I brought up Gary's kind suggestion about putting signs on stop signs, like you have a warning at the handicap parking, says minimum fine so much. And we discussed that, and Director Nunez came back with a very good suggestion. Rather than put them on all the stop signs, that put a sign like that on the first stop sign everybody sees when they enter the village. So the first stop sign on the other side of the gate will have that sign on it, and we'll have it like in the same proper California colors and all that, and we'll go ahead and do that, and that'll be about 13, 14 signs, and that should be good. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Executive hearings took place on the 1st. The next meeting is June 5th, and that's about all I can say about it because they're closed. Disaster prep, Martin?
Yes, when I reported on last monthly meeting that we had our disaster preparedness meeting on March 25th, covering a lot of ground, about 10 installations about disaster preparedness of a variety of disasters. Then we had that meeting the following day at Clubhouse 7 that was very spirited and motivated with the block captains and cul-de-sac captains. And I know we've got a lot of work to do with respect to coordinating with the county and the city, making sure that our plan is in line with what they have to do, so that we're not reinventing the wheel. But yeah, our next meeting I think is what did we say?
27th. May 27th.
Yeah, May 27th, here in the boardroom.
And then move right into.
All right, ITAC. Yeah, our last meeting there, closed meeting, was on March 28th, and we're skipping a month now because we're just getting them meeting blitzed. Anyways, I know that ITAC is they're moving along, but our next meeting with them is going to be May 30th, and that will be a virtual meeting.
Okay.
Chair, you missed the traffic hearings.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ellen.
All right,
Oh,
all right.
yeah.
I got to talk. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. There were your regular violations, stop sign and speeding, so you got to be careful out there. And the registration tags, they are putting violations, issuing them. And the next meeting is May 21st at 9 a.m.
Okay, all right, thank you. Future agenda items. Of course, we had our 2 resolutions. Gary, you had something more before we leave committees?
Yes, I thought we had said in our budget prep session that we would add the supplemental budget allotment for solar as a future agenda item.
Okay.
And I don't see it here.
All right, so that, I think, is something we'll add to our agenda prep for next cycle, so
Yeah.
that it gets on the agenda for next time.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And we will also have the software transaction and card fees that we put on 28-day notice, the revised purchasing policy on 28-day notice. Okay, director comments? Marie, anything on director comments?
Yes, I would like to compliment all the board members, but especially our substitute chairman, Director Bach, for an excellent meeting today.
Oh, thank you, Marie. Okay, Manny? Okay, next, Gary? Ellen?
I'd like to know what everybody thought of America Walk, the concept that Suzanne Modell, Concerned Citizen, presented. I don't know how, but that might maybe give us some idea of how many people are going on the bus. I don't know. I don't know if we've had any type of a report where we're going to hire anybody to do a consultant to see how many people ride the bus.
We know that.
We know that.
That's well-known information that.
Oh, that's information from 2019, though.
No. It's
No,
updated every month. He'll have new information tomorrow.
Okay, all right. I'll wait for that.
Nothing
All right.
from Andy, Martin, okay, Egan?
I just had a question. We've been getting these emails about asking for a submission to the Breeze. Has something been done on the broadband project recently on the Breeze?
No, we're waiting to hear from Ting as to what their rollout program is going to be, that we want to coordinate.
Well, I mean, that would be a really interesting.
Oh, yeah,
article.
yeah, it's got to
And
be.
make sure you show pictures of the equipment, for
Yeah,
God's sake.
right, yeah, the little thingies.
Yeah.
We want to see them.
The
Other
resident
than
equipment.
that, good meeting.
The office equipment is only 3 units high.
That's good.
Steve?
I'd just like to say, wish everyone a happy No Homework Day. And it's also International No Diet Day. So eat whatever you want.
Well, hope there's
It's
carrot cake
allowed.
upstairs. Okay, with
Good meeting.
that, we will recess. And in the interest of moving things along, it's 12 noon now, and let's go upstairs and have our lunch, and then just keep going at 12:30, okay? Recess for now. Thank you. All right.